All right, before I get into this whole Gabe Newell article, I do want to say is that if y'all, the audience, wants me to look at an article, read through it, make a video about it, please share it publicly, tweet it at me, at DRound49. It'll just be I feel like I wanna be held accountable. I want to be more responsible with the content I upload because I want to make it for y'all. And it definitely would make things easier too because I want to. Sometimes there'll be some things that'll just be such a surprise that I'd be like, "Wow, okay, I didn't, I didn't think this was real," or I'd never heard of this or something like that. So yeah, if you guys have an article or anything you guys want to tweet to me about, again, it's DRound49. Just share, share it that way, and I'll look into it. All right. So we get into this article. Gabe Newell, realism isn't fun. I play games to have fun. Niche game. This is by Niche. Jeez, man. Niche gamer and Brandon. Oh, God, these last names. Brandon or Zaylee, and this is of course almost a month old article, but I figured I'd make a video about this. Uh, the legendary Half Life The legendary Half-Life recently saw its 25th anniversary, and to celebrate, Valve released a documentary going into the beginning of their company and their inaugural title. The documentary goes into the earliest stories from Valve, what was supposed to be their first title, Prospero, which eventually got eclipsed entirely by Half-Life, and some very interesting comments on design from the Lord Gabe Newell himself. In the documentary, Gabe recalled early design discussions on what would become Half Life, where staff pushed back on things not being realistic, to which Gabe proclaimed he's never found realism fun and that he plays games to have fun. You have these conversations where you be sitting in a design review, and somebody say that's not realistic, and you're like, okay, what does that have? Like, explain to me why that's interesting. Because in the real world, I have to write up lists of stuff I have to go through. I have to go to the grocery store to buy. Neil said. He added, I have never thought to myself that realism is fun. I go play games to have fun, and so we had to come up with some notion of what fun was. Gabe then went into deeper thought on his elusive concept of having fun and laid out how his team at Valve went about crafting an experience that went on to make Half Life an instant classic and one of the best games ever made. We knew it was an ad hoc definition, and it was sorry, and it was degrees to which the game recognizes and responded to the player's choices and actions, right? Newell said. In behavioral science, you would say we were explicitly talking about what were reinforces and what the reinforcement schedules were, right? At the point in time, that was a useful way to making design decisions. While other developers like Naughty Dog's Neil Druckmann avoid even mentioning the word fun when making games. Newell and his team framed all of their game theory and mechanics around making players feel like they were having fun and having an influence in game. The point I would make is if I go up to a wall and shoot it, to me it feels like the wall is ignoring me. I'm getting a narcissistic injury when the world is ignoring me, Newell said. To me, I was trying to convey to the user a sense of yes, you were making choices. Yes, you were progressing, which means the game had to acknowledge that back view. In closing, New explained in specific examples how their designers made Half-Life can constantly give the player a sense of impact and fun in the game world. If you shoot at a wall, there have to be decals. If you kill a bunch of Marines, the Marines have to run away from you, right? Newell said you have to have this sense of the game acknowledging and responding to the choices and actions and progressions that you've made. Otherwise, it loses any sort of impact. And they linked to the 25th anniversary documentary. I'm halfway through it, but I want to finish the first game, and I mean like when it like the actual first version of it, not the remasters or remakes. I mean, I am enjoying Half Life. Let me get that out of the way. I've played a little bit of Half Life 2 because of the orange box, but playing it on the Steam Deck, dude, I am loving the first game. I'm probably gonna play it later on. To be honest, it's so freaking good. And I think that game is that game. Yeah, that game is as old as me, man. Like seriously, like man, back in those days, they knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what the hell they were doing. And now we're in this dystopian like gaming culture where it's like, oh, it needs to be realistic. I'm not trying to do realism. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm just I mean, it's cool and everything, but it's video game. How real can, for example, The Last of Us 2, like how realistic do you need The Last of Us 2 part 2 or part 1, whichever, to be when you have literal fungal zombies walking around, roaming around, and then you have a character like, and I'm not trying to get into like too much of a shit talking fest with all that, but you have someone like Abby around who had like who's so muscular and everything, but yeah, she's able. You're telling me like, no, dude, that's not realistic for a game that's trying to be realistic. That's just dumb. And Gabe Newell sums it up perfectly. I mean, this is a no brainer if you have common sense, but I mean, I hate this. I'm not gonna say hate. I just dislike this whole notion of like it has to be real. It has to be real in order to be good, and like that's wrong. That's not right. You know, it's like there's stylized. There's a reason why stylized games did so well back then. Hell, even now they still do, especially with the indie community. I think that's where gaming needs to go back to. It needs to go back to those days. It does. I'm not trying to say like revert back like no, I'm just like to look back on the concepts, look at the stuff that worked, and then try to and then apply it to the modern stuff to make to make it better. Like Gabe Newell, and I keep saying it, but he's right. You know, the way to feel like the game, like yes, the game is you are progressing through the game. Yes, the game acknowledges it. This is what developers should do too. Yes, we acknowledge that we're progressing in this state and we want you to have fun. Yeah, we're not going to try and make it bullshit, but we're gonna bring in some challenges, of course. I mean, you can't feel like you're like an ultra one man army and then not have some challenges. That's why you got to have villains. That's why you got to have conflicts in games. I mean, you gotta it's interactive for a reason. I'm not trying to watch movies. If I want to watch, if I want to watch a movie, I go to the theaters. I'm not trying to, put my I'm not trying to put Death Stranding in the PlayStation or PC or whatever, and just I love doing all these chores where I'm walking through all these environments. Here comes the rain. I got to put the hoodie. Oh, I got to make sure that my crates are not disintegrating. Oh, I got to make sure my boots are not gonna are not rotting. It's like it's that's not fun. That's a chore. That's a chore. When the player has to force himself to the boot to even boot up the game and just hope and pray that they actually get to a part where it actually starts getting fun and they get reached that one part and then all of a sudden it's right back down to it goes back to the routine of being boring, then that's not a good game. I don't I'm just saying it's like I don't like it when they have to add in all this realistic aspects. Yeah, I can see they they want to innovate. That's fine, but with innovation there comes, of course, originality and risks, and we'll see if the risks pay off or not. And some people might like it, some people don't. That's just how it is. But overall, when a game is not viewed in a great light, it's you just You need to go back to square one, not force people to play this character in certain segments and get rid of segments because you want them to focus on that one character specifically where they're overpowered when they shouldn't be. Spider-Man 2. I'm just saying, like, it's you gotta focus on what matters. Stop stop pushing this narrative stuff. And I'm not even trying to say like, oh, it's woke or no. I'm just talking about as a gameplay perspective. Hell, even just on a basic entertainment perspective, man. I buy, you want people to buy this now $70 game if you're getting AAA games, and you want and you it's just like, no, man, you people want to have a great investment in this. That's the reason when you market it out and everything, and people are buying, they're thinking like, okay, seems like it's gonna be worth my while. I'm not saying everything is perfect. There won't be some disappointments, but when we're in this dystopian gaming culture that we are now, especially with AAA, uh, things are really screwed up. It's as simple as I can put it. So, hats off to Gabe. Again, common sense, or at least you would think it's common sense, but I think I'm gonna go play some Half Life after this. So I'll see y'all later. Ciao.